Now that you have everything set up and ready for your Adobe Connect meeting, the next thing you need to know is how to use the interface in order to communicate effectively in a live setting. In this video, we'll go over the basics of what participants and presenters need to know. First of all, let me explain what I mean when I use the terms participant and presenter. These terms are used to define two separate kinds of roles from within Connect. When you log into a meeting, you are automatically assigned a role, likely either as a participant or presenter. There is also a third role called the host, which will be held by whomever it was that created the meeting. These roles define what you are able to do by default within the application interface, and it is the host's role to manage everyone else's level of access. I mentioned in one of the previous videos that inside of this test meeting, you are automatically promoted to the presenter role. This means that you have all of the rights of a participant as well as some added abilities to share media and information. I'll first go over aspects of the interface to which a participant is limited, as their level of access is the most basic. The participant role assumes that you are in the meeting to consume information, and maybe throw in the occasional comment. By default, this role only has access to view the content being shared and to offer some input in limited ways. Now, before I dive into specific features, let's get oriented with the overall interface. First of all, we have the menu bar, available at the top left of the interface. Here you see only two options, Meeting and Help. We have already interacted with this portion of the interface when we set up our camera and microphone, so it is somewhat familiar to us at this point. Next, occupying the largest area of your screen, you have the Meeting area. This simply refers to the visual space where the meeting will take place. Inside of the meeting area, we have the meeting's layout. This refers to the arrangement of windows inside the interface. Each of these windows is called a pod. You can still call them windows or panels or whatever else you like, but if you hear your meeting host talking about pods, then you will know what they're saying. Lastly, you need to know that a meeting's layout can change. What you see inside this test meeting is a slight modification of the default meeting layout. When you get into your own meeting, you may see something that looks totally rearranged. Don't worry. Your host is in control of which pods get shown and how they are arranged. So now we turn our attention to the first pod, the attendee list pod, shown in the top left of the meeting area. As a participant or presenter, you will only be able to view this pod, but it can provide you with some helpful information over the course of your meeting. You'll notice right away that this pod lists the names of the individuals in the room. To the left of each name, you'll notice an icon. This icon corresponds to each user's role. Here, Daniel Gibson is the host, Thomas and practice user, that's us, are presenters, and Jim is a participant. Knowing these roles immediately helps me identify what each person will be expected to do inside of this meeting. Additionally, to the right of the names in the attendee list, you will sometimes see a variety of other status icons. Everyone involved in the meeting has the ability to quickly communicate a number of things utilizing these icons. Jim has just raised his hand. This is a way for participants to request the ability to speak using their microphone. The host can respond to some of these statuses by granting permissions. To indicate your own status, you can either click on the My Status button at the top of the attendee list pod, or you can go down to the bottom left of the meeting area. Here you will notice a Status Options drop-down menu. If you click on the arrow for this menu, you will see several options ranging from responses, requests, quick yes and no answers, and even a status indicating that you have stepped away from your computer. You can click on any one of these to broadcast your status. To clear your status, pick the last option from the Status Options menu. Below the attendee list pod, you will see the chat pod. As a participant, you have the ability to use the chat pod to communicate via text message with everyone in the room. All you have to do is type your message into the input box at the bottom of the pod. When you are finished typing your message, hit Enter on your keyboard or click the Send Message button, just to the right of the input box. This will send a message to everyone in the room. If you need to communicate privately with a specific person, you can click on the drop-down below the message area. This will allow you to choose an individual in the meeting. Once you have chosen their name, you can send a message just as before, but the text will appear red in the chat box for both you and the person to whom you sent the message. As a participant, you may encounter other pods that require interaction, such as the poll, file sharing, and web links pod. but these are largely self-explanatory and typically only require that you click on an item. The attendee list and chat pods will be the ones that you use most while in a participant role. Most of the other pods you will simply watch as your host or presenter uses them.